Going to go fishing, or so it looks like, for a wee bit. Nine 11. Of all times to start. 9/11, all times to start. And here's what's here today so far. Wonder where the rest of them went to.
I'm going to tell you about this referendum that I think we need to try and get passed, and it's a very positive and uplifting thing, and it's bipartisan. It's not about left or right. It's just about doing the right thing by our international guardsmen. That's all it's about. And I'll go over that when we're done with all the speakers. But first,
It's on the phone yet, jabbering
this
away.
is where I stall for time while we're on the phone. I'll go into my
Maricopa County Republican Party chairman. I'm here to talk about organization, to talk about March on D.C. Our politicians, that includes Republican politicians. I am a Republican politician, but I'm for the Constitution and the platform first. So I have a lot of conflicts with my own politicians. There are some things we can unite around that are basic. That's the Constitution, that's your freedom of speech, your Second Amendment, your voting rights, your opposition to abuse of political power. And that's what's going on now. That's what the people in mass are objecting to. But you have to have a voice to do that. You have to have an organization to do that. So you've got the organization on the Tea Parties that are this mass objection to D.C. But let me take you back a few years also. If you remember, there was a Proposition 200 in the state of Arizona which said that they'd like to pass a law that said you had to show you're a U.S. citizen before you registered to vote, and you had to show your ID when you went to vote.
Right.
That whole proposition came from the people. It came from the base of the populace. It was objected to by the whole Republican and Democratic organizations.
Right.
Every one of our U.S. senators, every one of our congressmen adamantly opposed that bill. The only reason it was passed was because the base of the population was for it 90%, and they organized, they got signatures on petitions, and they raised the money to get that passed. If we had listened to our politicians, that would never have seen the light of day. Your voting rights would now be dictated by Acorn in the state of Arizona.
Well, wasn't that struck down in the short?
No, it was
No.
not.
Okay.
In fact,
Riders
they raised the
USA
money,
is one of the
they
groups that
funded
helped get it
through
passed.
7 court proceedings and hearings, and it still is legal in the state of Arizona that you have to show you're a U.S. citizen and registered voter. Secondly, do you remember that there was an attempt to close down the gun shows?
Yeah.
That was McCain and Lieberman, a Democrat and Republican, tried to say that there was a loophole in the gun administration, and they could fix that by closing down the gun shows in essence. That was defeated by a mass objection by people that cherish their Second Amendment rights.
Well, what's
And
happening?
fought back.
Just out of curiosity, what's happening with the Contra Costa County case in the court now?
I'm not
You know?
familiar with that case.
They're trying to shut down the Cow Palace Gun Show.
Oh, that's California, and I don't know that they'll. That's another thing when we talk about abuse of political power. If you get in power, it doesn't matter to those people in power what the document says, what the law says. If they can avoid that and they have control of the judiciary and the legislative and the executive, it doesn't matter what that document said. Obviously, they don't care what the Constitution says.
Right.
They're not defending
There
us
is
from
no
invasion.
law anymore in this country.
So the thing to remember, folks, is, as Rob said, both parties oppose it. People passed, that means Democrats and Republicans, not just one party. We are no longer divided by one party. I stood in Washington, D.C. Saturday afternoon with 2 other guys, and we swore allegiance to each other to stand together. One was Jewish, the other guy was black Muslim.
Okay, you remember if
Now,
you
if we
move,
can get together, we got this country.
if you move a little bit farther in time, there was something called Campaign finance reform. Anybody
McStain.
remember what that was?
Yeah, it's
Economic
McStain's
Protection
thing.
Act.
That takes
Let us have
the freedom of speech away. That was John McCain and Feinberg,
Right.
Republican and Democrats, taking your freedom of speech away. That said, the incumbent protection right is correct. That said, 60 days before the general election, 30 days before the primary, you could not speak, form an organization, and speak for or against the candidate. Now, the media could, university professors could, everybody could, but you could not form an organization and do that. That's on both the right and the left. That means NRA, that means Right to Life, that means Planned Parenthood. They could not advocate for or against the candidate. Who did that? Both your Republican and Democrat senators led that battle. There was no emphasis from the people coming, and the people fought it, but it was passed, proposed by a U.S. Senator, Republican, and a Democrat senator. It was passed by the Republican legislature, the U.S. Congress, House and Senate, and it was signed by a Republican president. That is now the law. And we're fighting it constitutionally to take that apart piece by piece, and the Supreme Court has heard it again. And they'll have to reverse themselves on their previous decision where they said it was illegal, 5-4 decision saying that was legal. We'll take your freedom of speech away.
Is that the latest case of the Hillary movie? If that's being heard.
Yes, that's the Hillary movie case.
Oh, wait, they did say it was legal to do it.
Yes. They said that, I thought, well, we need to
I
execute
didn't know that case had been settled.
Yeah, they won that case, and then the argument in the Supreme Court was, well, if they can do that to a movie, if someone wrote a book about that, you're saying we wouldn't be able to publish that in a book, burn the books. So the Supreme Court has expanded that to look at the whole decision again. And that case has been heard. They'll come out with a decision later this year, early next year, on the total legality of that McCain campaign finance reform. But what I'm saying is that nothing happens to oppose those in power unless you organize to do that. They will not listen to you. I've been through this many times. They try to take me out over and over again as district chairman or county chairman, but they've just kind of raised my profile and given me a bigger platform to speak from. So how are they going to try to take us out and silence our voice? Through precinct committeemen. How many here are precinct committeemen?
I plan on it.
1, 2, 3. 3 precinct committeemen?
Ain't room in mine. I already got it
I
filled
was
up.
a delegate for the 2008 Libertarian National Convention representing the state of Arizona.
Okay. Precinct committeemen within their own party elect district, county, and state officers, national committeemen. They have a lot of force in the party if they are willing to stand up and say so. If they're willing to organize and fight the hierarchy of the parties, both Democrat and Republican. Libertarian, if you're going to go Libertarian, I don't even know how the Libertarians work, but
Well, that's why I'm Republican.
okay. So what I'm saying is, what the McCain forces, and I'm perfectly frank here. I'm transparent when I tell you this. And you have McCain and Kyle and Shattuck and Flake, who have organized their staffs to recruit precinct committeemen, so that they will be able to elect precinct committeemen who will vote against the grassroots. They'll tell you they're voting, wanting to expand the party, but what they want to do is have top-down
Linux is better.
rule in the party. And if you oppose them in their legislation, primarily led by McCain, they're going to take you out. And they have demonstrated they're going to do that. If you're not aware of all these things, I can tell you many cases, but when I started speaking against them, they recruited Governor Symington, former Governor Symington, to run against me as district chairman.
Best they could do with a convict?
And he's going to run again for governor.
Well, his
That makes it easy.
his
I would
conviction
vote